Hi, I'm Mutgren Oakwald, and welcome to Dad's Old Shop. I forgot to stop listening to my own voice from the sound test. Did that now. Cool. Hi. We are here, and oh, they're cutting my grass. So if you hear sounds, that's what that is. We have a service because I like gardening, I like farming. I don't like doing yard work. I tried when we were looking for houses to get a place that didn't have a yard or a negligible yard. That didn't pan out. It is what it is. This is a little bit dark. I'm gonna go grab a light and see if I can fix that. I looked at this before and went, this is fine, and now that I'm looking at it a second time, I could use a light. This whole area is in dire need of a redo, just because, you know, that's why I'm on screen a little bit. Just because as you use stuff gets moved, yada yada. So it could be a better space. Okay, that's a bit better. So I just had saw the shadow. I had a ring light, it broke. It's fine. I ordered another one, still waiting for it. So we're doing a couple things today, probably. Tool sharpening's not a bad one, but I've done that a little bit. Some of it might be a little going over projects that we've done before, which is totally fine. First things first, I started with the bellows for the forge. So this, before stream, I got this together, I glued it together. These are two pieces of what was an axe target. And I've done some of this on stream, but an axe target from a party that I had last year, cut it in half, and used the half that wasn't covered in paint and stuff like that, because it doesn't, the parts with paint have a bunch of, axe holes in it, which is fine for certain things, not for something that needs to blow air, because that won't be airtight. Admittedly, everything here is going to get a nice thick coating of gap fill, basically. I have piles of sawdust on the floor that I don't share that are here, but I take the really fine stuff, push it off to the side, because that'll get mixed with glue, and it'll be made into a putty. As, like you see on this board that we did in a previous stream. So this does not need to look good. This is the inside of it, because this will be the outside. It's not cut perfectly, that's fine. We can, oh, where's the camera? There we go. We can fix this later. We're off the lines there. The big part of it that we're just trying to get is that it's airtight and we can get it together. Because it is a three-part thing. I can draw in the middle. That's fine. Nobody will see the inside of this. A bellow is a thing, and you might have seen it in Kingdom Come Deliverance, slightly wrong for the Alchemist one. It can be a lot of things, but essentially, it's like an accordion. I'm going to give it a little handle up there that feeds into a block that feeds into a tube. And air goes there. And for ours, I sometimes go between whether I want it to be push or pull, because you can have it two ways. You can have it where it's hanging, so it wants to stay, gravity wants it open, and then you pull, or if you get like a lever on the other side, you push to pull, you fight gravity and you squeeze it yourself, or it's one where you let gravity compress it, and then your work is bringing it back up to put air in. The gravity one's a bit more consistent, because it's always the speed of gravity against the speed at which the air that you've got in there moves out. So like a bigger tube would have a faster outflow. So in general, when you do it with where gravity is the pusher of air, you have it be a narrower or relatively narrow outlet so that it goes slowly, like, so you get a nice consistent heat. The thing about the other one where the gravity refills the air bladder and your mechanical advantage squeezes that, is you get to control a lot more directly how much air is going and why. So for this one, let's just say this here is the bottom. It's going to have 2 feet ribs that keep it in place. The bottom, this is the base that I'm making here. And there's going to be also a hole at the bottom. Then I'm going to have a flap over. Going to be a little bit enforced. And there's also going to have to be a middle rib out there to help keep that from collapsing on itself. So when I open it, air will come up through here, and then once there's no suction force from opening it, because this hole has to be bigger than this hole to create that suction force. Once that happens, that door flaps back down, and it makes a pretty good seal, or at least enough of a seal that the air will prefer to go this way. Because this is all wood, and it's going to be made out of canvas that is coated with borax and wax, like beeswax and turpentine, like a waterproofing solution. So none of this is ever going to be perfect, and it's kind of like air and water are both fluids in the sense of how they act. So they leak everywhere, but they take the path of least resistance. So they'll still leak around places they can leak, but if there's an easier way out, a less energy intensive way out, a more direct way out, they'll generally take that way. So this is the bottom. The part that I drilled is the inside. And I do have a couple other pieces together, like the piece I showed you. I have a piece over there. And once this tacks up, these glues have a working time to tack up. And once they're tacked up, they're generally pretty fine. People leave them for longer, but this glue is, once again, to help make sure that everything is airtight in between. And there's going to be battens that go between it. So it's not on its own structural. I mean, it is structural, but it's not the only thing keeping it together. So these are the other two parts of it. And this will go in the middle. Bob's your uncle. Or it might be the other side. I forget which is the right side up. I'll figure it out. Because there'll be a place that they match up better. So yeah, this will be the bottom. So the reason why I want to get this stuff together now is we, in my area, are in a drought. So my local municipality has a burn ban. So I can't do open burns. I'm sure there's all sorts of exceptions. Like I know there's it for barbecues and certain recreation. But I don't want to do this and get out there and then have my local PD come up and go, hey, you can't do that, and then answer all that stuff. My local PD is fine, but I just don't want to deal with that. It's also like I can't do it sneakily. It's very loud. I'm in a very small place. It's very noticeable when there's somebody hitting stuff with a hammer and an anvil. Also, public. So, give this about another 5 minutes to tack up while I look at the other projects here. Another project that I've been meaning to get a handle on, literally, is I have made this chisel on stream. I'm bringing it up here. This Narex chisel blank. We made the handle, put it all together. It's nice, and it is, I will say, a great first try. I want to do it again with the second one. What is the where it's darkest? Is it here? Is it there? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Gonna, I guess, bring this up in intensity. Hope that helps. Maybe get everything higher. Hamburger should be higher. Lighting is one of the things I plan to address soon. In addition to microphone, I want a new microphone. I like this mic. It's done very good for me. Like, I'm not unhappy, especially with the price point I paid at it, but like, I feel like it could be better. I'm just trying to make sure that it's little shadows as possible with the autocorrect features and trying to make sure it's not as super blue. Okay, that's a little bit better. So I have the ferrule, and the original piece that was to be made the handle was this piece of maple. If you've seen streams, I use this piece as a hammer, and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Use it, I was just thinking, but also I did just get a rubber mallet, so I don't really need to use this again. Because it's roughly the same size. So what we're going to do, both sides aren't super flat, which is fine. Kind of cantered. Is I'm just going to pick a side, and we're going to drill into it after making it a little bit more square. I'm just looking at it on how to make it square. Then once we make it square, we'll cut through. I'll get a drill bit, and then we'll go. Actually, let me go get my bit brace here. That's another thing, is I have a bunch of stuff on here just from streaming on the floor. Kind of like streamer room, but not my room. So, thankfully, this isn't where I live. Especially with centipede season coming now that they're all hatching. Found a couple. Scared my wife. Kind of funny. So we'll even that out, burrow that out, and then this handle goes in here. We'll figure out something that's roughly equivalent. I think I actually have in the brace already. I'm just looking now. Yeah, just about. You want it a little bit undersized. This is probably slightly too big. I'm going to keep this in here so I don't lose that bit. But you want it a little bit undersized because in the process of putting it in, you're going to want to make that a snug fit. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, they're good. I really enjoyed this one. I think it was a deal on Taze Tools like 2 years ago because it takes you forever to do projects. But they were selling kits that were just the ferrule and the blade for like under $15 each, and that's what I got. I wanted more of the set, but that's what I got out of it. But they're really good. I've just been slow on that because I'm like, I want to do other projects, but it'd be nice to get a project off the board. It's easier to start them. It's hard to finish them. So I'm just going to take these clamps and move them real fast because this is tacked up good enough so that it should hold while it continues to dry. Also, eventually on the agenda, we'll be getting a new clamp rack. One I made is good, but it was one of the first things I made woodworking, so it could be better. Like everything, it could be better. So this is sufficiently tacked up. Let me take this a place where I won't knock it over, where it can dry peacefully without me bothering it. And probably on the floor over here. Okay, perfect. So, no, the only, I think, good part about these aluminum clamps is glue comes off them very easily, even if they're not great clamps. All right, you're gonna hang out here. You're gonna hang out here. All right, and we're probably not gonna get this perfectly 90, but that's fine. We just need to get it close enough that I can actually get a straight hole into it. And get this glue, squeeze that up off the bench. Or I spread this into my hands. Oh, that blow was probably terrible, I apologize. All right, so got that. And got that, perfect. I'm also just trying to figure out what face I want to make it to. Because this side was pretty flat until I used it as a hammer. Okay, I think I'm seeing the vision. I think I'm seeing it. To try to get the thin slice on this is hard. This doesn't have a problem when it wants to do thicker slices, but on thinner slices, the blade wants to wander. Okay, I can tell I didn't do a great job. That's fine. It just needs to have a plane that is better than the plane that it was at. Which I have a feeling this isn't it. Actually, not too bad. More operator error, but not too bad actually. Like, is it a little bit jacked? Yeah. It's super jacked? No. Where's my block plane? I'll probably take off the top of that. Block plane, where art thou? Probably in the box upstairs. That's fine. I can use a bigger one. Let me grab. This should be turned around. This is the only, I think, frustrating part about a vise is anything that's not actually square. Like in general, I can get it to a point where it doesn't. It sticks. But it wants to rack so bad, it just wants to tear itself apart. Okay, so there's a little bit of a dip, but actually that's not the worst. The dip is pretty consistent, which is the most important part. Okay, it's pretty thin. Where I get too much blowout. All right, that's flat enough for the purposes of what we're doing here. And just gonna undo this a little bit and make sure it's 90. The rest of the piece. I have a setup with some fishing wire to do for a plumb bob when I need to do stuff like this. Don't have that set up yet here, but you know, I have it. Just getting it started there. And there we go. So we're usually looking for like a 1.5 inches because we can go down from there, but not really up. And it will go down from there. So gonna look for a section that's roughly that. You know what I can probably do? I can probably set the market gauge to it and do it that way. All right, so I'm just setting the marking gauge that distance. It's fine, it's not perfect. And now we're just gonna score. This isn't gonna give us the outer diameter, it's just gonna give us a rough estimate of where the middle point is. This is used like a scratch blade, like a nail. So, we know that the middle is like the 45 of this, so we can just and marking knife. That's okay, we'll just use this plain blade. So, X and X. Oh, I see that first bit, huh? Okay, there we go. So we know the center stuff here. Give it like 8 hits because this maple is super tough. I made a rocking horse out of maple like this, and it took so much work to get through anything. I'm gonna grab a small pilot bit and start with that. and just work up from there. Yeah, this should be fine. This should fit. This actually probably dropped or not the brace. Oh, that's a good coincidence. The actual screwdriver or hand drill has the same size bit in it already. All right, and oh, I just realized. Oh, maple's lovely. It really is. But I think the issue with it is that it is very hard, and it tends to splotch a little bit when it stains if you're not careful. At least that's what I have learned from it. That might be me not being good with stains, but it's nice. It's durable. It's hard as all heck, especially when you get like sugar or curly maple. I mean, they're all pretty similar trees. All right, so let's get in there, and one day I'll get better at adjusting this camera in between these shots. I need to get up a screen because the setup that I have is good for flexibility, but because of that, it's not super stable. So if I move it too much, it shakes for a long time, and I feel like that would give some people motion sickness. It's probably better not to do that. All right, so we got that small diameter. Once you get up past a 1/4 inch, the hand drill loses its effectiveness, and I would say even anything above 3/8 really you should go to a bit brace. Oh, you could. So how I got most of this maple, I bought one piece of maple my entire woodworking over the last couple of years. I go to Craigslist and after storms and look for people that want trees off their property because oftentimes stuff falls and it's a pain to deal with it, and because it's not all of it's wood that you would want, like an arbor would want when they cut down a tree, they just want it gone. So I have a couple logs from a couple storms here that I have wood from. It's usually pretty nice engagements. Like you don't even really have to talk to anybody. I mean, I make sure to, when I pull up, I am visible, and if there's somebody there, I wave, and I point to what I'm doing, and they usually just go, that's good. This one is slightly too big. Sorry, I just gotta go grab one that's slightly smaller. This one's, is there an intermediate? No? Wow, okay. Deal with that later. We're not at the fitting stage anyway, we're just getting all the holes in there so that we can cut out the rough shape. This was the step down, correct? Yep, okay. Like the last couple tools I got pretty lucky, including this bit brace. It has a little bit of a worm, like woodworm bites, but pretty good. Yeah, for firewood, that's usually what people use it for, but anything that's like a foot or longer, I mean, that's jewelry box territory. And it's also a good length for wood that you rive instead of like a cut plank. So you can get ribbon boards for those type of things, which makes them really stable. All right, now we're running up where chip evacuation is the slow part of this. We're almost there, but we have to, I think, go all the way down. Because the tang of the chisel is pretty long. Actually, maybe not all the way down. Let's see here. Still got a little bit ways to go. Not quite there. Oh, okay, they're good. Wondering what that was, or when that stuff was going to come out. Hey, when the sawdust binds in the little logs. Alright. That should be deep enough. Perfect. So, what I want to do is make octagons. So I'm just figuring out how I do that from here. Oh, my brain just exploded thinking about octagons. So I'm going to take a chop from here and just do the corners of the octagon and then cut in. And try to keep this as wide as I can up here. It's okay that it's a little bit frumpy up the top, because I do want it to flay out a little bit towards the end. And I want it to be a bit narrower than this chisel. This chisel's fine. I have pretty wide hands. But a little bit of swoop in, some curve, I think would be helpful. So let's figure out what face to cut first. It's probably this face. And open up the jaws. Let's try to center it here. All right, that should be good. I got my space behind me here. Probably go off the edge a little bit here. Okay, that should be closer to the angle I need. All right, successful first part. Gotta make sure it's still lined up. One thing I was looking into is they make automotive dampeners for like car doors and stuff. And my bench is hollow in the middle. So I figure if I can weave that in there, that should help cut down on some of the excess echo that I get. From like sawing and stuff like that. All right, so the next part of this is the dangerous part. So I have it going down. That's perfect. It's going to be hard to keep the rest of this in the vise as I go through, because I can't easily cut it like this. Actually, was thinking of a way, but I realized I would need to clamp it. And you can't cut through your clamping. You can give it a try. Now, where did I drop that thumb screw clamp? Ah, I see. Ah. So, that's right, that one's reverse threaded. So we can go ahead and clamp this. And then try to get it to match the angle here. See if we can get that going. Okay. So you stay there, and stay there. Then we pop the whole thing in the vise. And then I feel like I shake everything up a lot by moving the whole camera array. Definitely too far now. Gotta move the second part here just down a little bit. Actually, I want that down more. A little bit closer. Yes. See what I mean? Like it's very flexible, but just hard to use in the moment without, I think, being kind of irritating to watch. Okay, that should be enough. So I'm just gonna continue to cut on the line from above it. Should try to get the score in there. Okay. I think we were able to use it to track that line, which was the hard part of it here. So now I can take this line and take it to the other side. We had a bunch of storms recently. I've been meaning to go and see if there's any postings about any more wood. I actually need it for stools. I have a party in the summer, and for the logs that are drying, I use them as extra chairs. close? Is it pullable close? No. Ooh. Alright, so shims. Never miss an opportunity to make some shims. Alright, so we got this side done. A little bit on the outside, which is fine. Better to have more material than too little. And actually probably just... The issue is, like, I can get this part flat definitely, but then still rocks against this. Yeah, that should be fine. This one is a little tricky. Take it way oversized. Oh, click anything right? That was my mouse. Just flew off the table. How's your growing season? How's the lettuces been? Make sure I don't drop any important things on the ground. It's good to hear, good to hear. Ah. Just like not big enough, or just haven't had the meals yet? Feeling. Yeah, I went offline on this. That's fine. Ah. I hope my peas come out soon. It's like the one thing my wife will eat from the garden without any questions. Everything else is like, what's this? Da, da, da. She's always been picky though. I actually don't think I'm going to cut from this side anymore. I think anything else I'm just going to use a plane for. Okay. And let's see, are you flat enough to actually cut now? Actually, I can close the jaws a bit. Perfect. I have a few strawberry bushes now that I got last year, and they're finally starting to make flowers. So we'll see if I get any. A, if I actually get any strawberries this year, and B, if I can get them before birds eat them. I gotta get some rocks and paint them like strawberries or something. I was showing my daughter the plants. I'm like, these are strawberry bushes. She was just confused because there's no strawberries on them. She was excited, she wanted to help, but she's like, but there's no strawberries. Alright, how's this cut traveling? I can actually probably... I don't want to do it that way. I thought about just splitting it, just like... But I feel like that will end up with more harm than good. I'll tell you, my heart is always just, why don't you just plane everything? I mean, I probably should, but if I don't do more sawing, I won't learn saw skills. Yeah, it's like, I like you, birds, but can you stop touching my stuff? What type of grapes are they? Are they, like a domestic American variety, or just like a imported, like, common grape, or? This cut is much better, I can feel, from the last one. Okay, cool. Mars grapes. I don't know what those are. Huh. I'll admit, I'm not super versed in grapes. Oh, okay, okay. So I know there's, like, grapes that are indigenous to America, and, like, a lot of French grapes are actually based off of American grapes or something like that. Is that you who was telling me that? I forget. Mmm. And that sounds like a fun thing to go from growing your own grapes to making your own, like, wine from it. Not saying mead, you know what I meant. Sounds like a fun pipeline. Alright, so I'm just going to do it at the top here and on both sides just to try to score in those lines. Oh, not left-handed. Oh well, we'll figure it out. Oh, okay. Need a lot more for wine. Okay. Homebrewing seems cool. I don't drink enough to make it like I don't drink enough to make it worthwhile for me. Wish I did. That was one of the trades for having kids. Oh, blackberry wine. That sounds good. All right, I did that thing where you slightly go past your previous cut, I think. No, it's actually pretty secure. Okay, so I'm just not down enough. Okay. Like having resolving flashbacks. Man, I was so close. All right. So more shims, perfect. My wife went to a thrift store, found these little roller blades, little like kid skates for my daughter. Didn't realize the latches were broken. So my wife was, kind of upset because she promised my daughter something and was upset that she couldn't provide it. I was in the middle of like a game with somebody, like they would come over to play a game, and I had to fix these right on the spot. And that fixing was getting a piece of wood, making a wedge, and then hitting it in the mechanism, the latching mechanism, just to hold the belt, like the loop that kept it captive, into the buckle. So it wasn't squeezing her, but squeezing that. And that worked out pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that, because now I can just open my mind to things that I can just fix with shims. Okay, so this is a pretty good cut on the top here. This cut kind of sucks. Probably going to deal with this with a plane. And this with a plane. Which one to plane first? I feel like this is going to stay better in the vise. I'm going to do the face here. Use the same plane as before. This wood is pretty well behaved as far as planing. Some wood's a bit more squirrely. I do forget what direction the grain goes though, so we're going to find that out. So I want it to be like there, so I'm going to start over here. Yeah, no, I was going the wrong direction. Now I get the plane left-handed. Like I could turn it, but it's the vise wants to rack this way because of where the screw is placed, and the current alignment of this is a wedge that fits in this grate. Okay, it was good until parts of it just got chunked. I wonder why chunks are getting torn out. Could have been there's some instability in the wood there or something. It's going to end up being a corner, so that'll be fine. So now we have a pretty flat surface, at least on this end. Pretty good. A little bit of a hump right here. I might take care of that hump. Yeah, so top to the bottom, it's fine. Just a hump right about there. Actually, I can see it now. So, not a big hump. Okay, should be flat enough for the rest of the preparing of the blank. This is just blank making now. Ah, I see. I think this also has to do with the start of the cut, because it's not actually 90 square. Like it is for a bit, and then there's a rise. Like on this side, you can totally see it. Okay. Once again, not a big deal. That is getting cut down. This is the back half. So as long as it's interfaced with the front half, and this should be enough to get this part planed. Try to get this flat. Let's see what direction this grain goes. Okay, looks like I found the direction. When I got this plane, I was actually kind of skeptical of it because it's a Craftsman. And at my age, Craftsman isn't exactly known for being a big quality tool brand, maybe Auto Tools, but kind of past its heyday. And I actually have a similar size Miller's Fall plane, which is pretty highly lauded. And I will say, this is a better plane. Just simple of it. The knob, it's better. The frog is better. Blades are probably similar, but that's just a better plane. But I'm surprised by how much I like this. This one's knob is pretty okay. Its frog is similar. It doesn't have as much lateral adjustment, and the handle needs to be redone. It's just wobbly, but it just feels good. Like that, the Miller's Falls has like a really thick varnish on the handles, and getting rid of that would mean significantly changing the volume of the handles. Well, this I just scrubbed and just linseed oiled. But this is a Craftsman from the 50s. This is like directly post-war. This is one of the last, close to last, models of hand tools that they make, like hand planes. I think they stopped in the 70s? All right. All right, we're sneaking up to where we cut. It's like shim making in reverse from the top down. These are pretty big cuts, and this doing pretty good. I'm taking pretty big bites. Probably bigger than I should with the plane, with this plane. But just looking over here. Oh, this is part of the cut that I made. And once the cut is gone, we're ready to start laying out the octagon. Okay, perfect. Look at that, so smooth. Except for that part that fell out, but that's fine. All right, so we have one edge that's kind of cockeyed. Other edges are fine. This is perfect. Beautiful, just beautiful and planar. I want to clean up this side now. That's the thing about hand planes. Once you start using them, you don't want to stop. They're just such nice tools. Oh yeah, that's what I feel about hand planes. Like, there's a, especially when you're in like the Stanley line, a lot of them are pretty expensive and stuff like that. But most people, oh, first of all, they made literally tens of millions of most of those planes, and it's all consumer demand. But there's so many companies that made like metal Stanley style planes and even wood planes that like built this country that I'm almost more interested in the stories that they can tell. Because like when I find a set on like a local place, those are what draw me. Some I get, like I can get stories from people, like it's on the floor over there because I need to redo it. But I have a Pexto plane. Pexto was a budget line that was based out of Massachusetts, and it is a very cheap plane. It's what I use for jointing. It instead of having like a one-piece frog, it has a folded sheet metal frog, so it can get a bit of chatter into it. There's a crack on it. That's just a wear and tear crack. It's just not a great plane, but you can make it work. And the person that had it, it was like their parents, because it was an older person, but it was their parents, and they were selling stuff off at a barn sale. And you know, it really gave me an appreciation for stuff that isn't what people look for, because I could still do the work. Because I don't buy these tools to have them be wall dressing. You know, I'm not a Cracker Barrel. I'm just looking over here. This one's a little off kilter. Like I'm not a Cracker Barrel. Like I want to put all these things to work. So really open my eyes to like what I can get and what I can get to work. So also working with hand tools like this is so nice. Like I don't have to wear eye protection. I don't have to worry about hearing protection most of the time. And also, if I make any mistakes, they're generally pretty slow. First time I used an electric router, I made a mistake, and that mistake was done too quickly to adjust. But if I had done it by hand, I would have caught it. I would like to hope so, anyway. Okay. Okay, this should be good enough for the blank. It's off, but we're going to cut more. So this will seat into here, like that. We have one size up, which is this, and I think that's one I'll be using. Also, I have a gym. I go to a gym. Working out kind of sucks. Ooh, hand plane restoration is so much fun, man. I mean, you know, different jokes for different folks, and everybody likes it. I love restoring hand planes. It is my jam. I was kind of sad, the one that I bought most recently, that I did a really short stream on. Stream was short because after opening it up and looking at it, the seller obviously did some restoration to it, but the base core of the plane itself was just great condition. And I still haven't gone in depth to look for like maker's mark and origin marks and stuff like that. So there is some stuff I have to do, but I was almost disappointed I didn't have any work to do on it. Like, I brought that as a fun little project, and it wasn't a project at all. It was just like the blade needs to be sharpened, and there needs to be a gap that's filled in, and there's a crack in the wedge, and but these are all like 1 weekend solvable problems. All right, so we're gonna figure out how long we want this to be. I'm just figuring out my hand because probably like my hand. So. Yeah, probably like there. We'll make a notch. A notch that I can actually see. There we go. So we just find the flattest edge, probably this one. And then we just run that along. As I find it again, there we go. Let's think of where to reference the square off of. What side? Probably this one. All right. Cool. So now we cut. I also really like when you get a hand tool and you're looking over it and there's like tool marks, like layout marks. And I don't know, it makes it feel like you found somebody's personal tool. Let's give most of the time that these are mass produced, but I actually have a set of tools that isn't mass produced. They were made by what do you call that? A framer, like somebody makes picture frames. They ended up really nice. Oh yeah, Ohio, yeah. That's one of the much bigger names in tool making, and I don't know what caused them to close. I think it was just general business. But there's a couple of names, and Ohio Tool is one of the big ones. Greenfield out of Massachusetts is big. Diston for saws out of Philadelphia. Miller's Falls, which I believe is New York or Michigan, I forget which. They did a lot for stuff for Sears, and then they did their own stuff, or they did their own stuff, did stuff for Sears, and then had their own premium line. But Miller's Falls is more into the metal plane era. I think they did some wood stuff, but Ohio Tool did a lot of wood planes, a lot of them. And it's pretty interesting. There are some good resources to find out the pedigree of a plane. The most interesting plane that I have is one that the framer had. I got that from somebody who was in there, maybe in their 70s or 80s, and when I met them, they explained it was a family friend who had come over from Germany during the 1870s, like a friend of their grandparents actually, and they came and were a framer for a bunch of years, and they just left the tools and nobody else used them. And I looked up and there's no markings because A, these are European planes, and B, they're not British planes. So when they're not British or European, you have a much harder time finding the pedigree of them because most of the resources aren't in English. But the blades, it's from a time in general where, besides American companies, but a lot of people made them, and the blades were what was mass produced. And that one has a Peugeot and Sons blade. Back when they made planes before they made cars. So it's a really cool double laminated blade. Really, really interesting stuff when I got to look into it, and I don't know, just validated my interest there. Miller's Falls, North Massachusetts. That's it. Okay. Yeah. I forget where factories are all the time. But Massachusetts had a lot of that stuff just because that's where a lot of early industry was. I mean, a lot of stuff is still kind of frontier territory, even if it was technically a state by that point. Like my 1860s planes would still see Chicago as the end of the world, because everything else would be native country. All right, so we have the whole blank here by length. So this still needs to get flattened a little bit. Yeah, it's really just one corner that's high. Got one corner that's kind of low, but that'll get cut. Probably want to do just a little bit more. I'm going to turn it here. Just a little bit more. Then we'll mark out the octagon and go from there. All right, perfect. So we have the square. Oh, is it like a what do you call this? Not a slide ruler for calculations, but one that like expands and has like tabs or anything? Is it one of those like super cool ones, or one of their more standard ones? I mean, all of them are cool. Oh, what's that angle? Oh, foot standard. That's still good. Metal or wood? 45. Okay, it is 45. I was trying to think what 360 degrees divided by 8 was, so I could figure out the angle, but it's just 45s. So, wait, the inside would be 45s. 135? 80 minus 35, 145. 145. There it is. I was looking for my compass and my protractor. So 145. Like that. Metal, perfect. I have a metal ruler, but it has like the cork on the back, and I want a metal ruler for blacksmithing, because you can't use wood rulers. Like I have like framing rulers, but they're too nice. Also, they're galvanized steel, which is just like a no-no. Did that really not even take? Man, that's the maple. Sometimes you just like cut into it and it doesn't take. Okay, I think I see it there. 25, or gotta get the most outsidey edges. Because I'm gonna mess up the shape at the start and have to work backwards, which is fine. As long as I expect it, it's not a problem. It's nice. It's I really enjoy it. More than I thought I would at first. And I am also surprised at how tolerant all my neighbors are of it, because I live in a place that has very close neighbors. So every day I'm very thankful that they are chill with what shenanigans I get into. So what, for this one, I'm going to, for those 45s, actually just gonna hammer a little bit, or just knock these in a little deeper so I can see them easier. Hammer. And also, I think the cost of blacksmithing setup is a lot cheaper than people would originally think. You could do it pretty cheaply without being how do I want to say that? You can get it to be affordable. My forge is just a box of dirt with some sand and $40 worth of fire brick from Ace Hardware. I use a foot pump for a mattress and a piece of black iron pipe, and that just feeds into the back of the forge box. You could totally get something that's operated by electricity, but similar to woodworking, I want to make everything harder on myself, I guess. But it is kind of cool that, like, if George Washington were walking by and he saw what I was doing, he'd be like, "Oh wow, you're a dwarf," and then the second part of it would be like, "Oh, I know what you're doing." All right, so we're gonna just get a quick clamp, actually. Clamp and a dog here. So you don't move a whole ton. And get a Yorgi. Ooh, family anvil. Do you know the make of it at all, or anything? So honestly, that was kind of the hardest part that that came up, was just getting an anvil. No, this is missing what I'm doing. Here we go. Let's have the wood here. Oh, I'm in the way. I just have it in that clamp, and I'm just moving at a 45 there. And trying to avoid bashing my fingers on it. Yeah, I have like a 90-pound Vivor anvil. And they started making the ones that were cast steel. So, is there some weirdness to it? Yes. But it's big enough and allows me to practice. Also, when you're new at stuff, you can adapt to stuff that's substandard, right? Because that's your world. Like, I think sometimes you'll get reviews about, second-tier products that are used by experienced people that have expectations on how to use stuff. And yes, it's missing features and stuff, but, like, I wouldn't know that. Ooh, 114. That's good. I honestly, unless you're doing like jewelry work, anything below the 80, 75, 80-pound range is just too small. Because you're dealing with the effects of bounce back and where force goes. Because everything about blacksmith is just about heat and application of force. All right, how do I get you to move? All right, that works. So we start at that, flip it over. Yeah, which way is looser? I feel like a goof. Great a goober. Okay. Also, my favorite question is whenever you tell somebody blacksmith, they're like, "Oh, what do you make?" I'm at the point where I just make tools. Like I made some hooks, but I'm still making just tools. Like I have stuff like hot cut hardies and stuff like that, cold cut hardies I'm still working on. Also just basic tongs. Turns out, takes some practice. All right. All right, so we have the ideas here where we're going to go from here. Still definitely needs to be smaller. The idea is that this is going to, once I get the outside diameter, like the outside form, this part is going to taper in, be pretty close to the size of this, as opposed to this that has a step. Want it to be a little more seamless, kind of in the mold of like how the socket chisel's tang looks. I mean, it's a socket chisel, but or what? No, this is a tang chisel, but like how a socket has more, doesn't have a step there. I want to try doing something like that. That'll be the next step, just further refining the shape. I don't think I have any other shop tasks that I really want to do on stream besides like sharpening stuff, but I don't need to do that on stream. I don't have anything fun to sharpen. Oh, the right. Oh, that is a bigger company. That probably has a lot of features. Yeah, man, you should get into it. You can even do stuff like if you don't want to worry about all the heating in that way, you can even just do like copper forging, which generally just requires heat to anneal it and not to make it hammer. Well, makes it hammerable, but you don't use fire for forming. You use it for the in-between processes. And you could do little stuff. I mean, you know, use it to make end caps for things. You know, so a lot of like blacksmithing seems very grandiose. A lot of it, people are making small decorative items and hinges and stuff, nails, screws. Most of it's pretty simple, and it is funny to listen to other blacksmiths that make really nice stuff. And you're like, yeah, the thing that sells the most is I make cut nails, and it's like, huh. I guess people like stuff that's usable and decorative. So yeah, I mean, when you have time. I mean, that's the easiest statement ever made. When you have time. Well, since I don't have any other tasks that I need to really get on right now, I think that'll be the end of stream for today. I've been going for a little bit, almost an hour and a half. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you the next time I have a good project. I try to do stuff once a week, but thanks for coming out, and have a good rest of your weekend. I think you have a stream tomorrow, right? On your channel, Sugi? It should be a good time. Good mid-morning thing. I think it's mid-morning. Well, yeah, thank you for joining me, and have a good rest of your weekend.